Hello everybody, I'm Martin. Welcome to another episode of Minecraft Enigmatica 2 Expert. And today I was going to make the Draconic Evolution armors, except thankfully I looked at the recipe first because I realized I was about to make a horrible mistake. And instead, we're going to work on another prereq for it. Because the problem was not with the Wyvern armors, which we have all of the items we need for now, although I might have to make a couple of these. This is all relatively trivial. The problem happens up here with the Draconic ones, because while we can make almost all of these, there is one big gotcha right here with the Ultimate Ingot, which we can't make this yet, because we haven't set up an Ultimate Crafting table to be automated yet for anything. So I have set one up back here. I've loaded up the recipe into the system, so let's take a look at what we need to make to finish this out yet. And if we attempt to start the recipe here, down here at the bottom you can see the missing list of 12 ingots that we do not have. Some of these aren't too bad, like the alchemical brass I don't have automated, but I could just go make a bunch quick in the Thaumcraft lab, and we can get like 100 or so of those tossed in the system and not worry about it. And then there's the two side metal ingots, which I just haven't made the recipes to make them from their materials yet, and many Lulin, which I just don't have a recipe for. Those ones are all pretty easy. And then you get things like the lithium manganese dioxide alloy and the titanium iridium alloy, which are both Nuclearcraft alloys, which we will have to deal with. The carbon brick, however, we've just been lazy about. We've got that handled. We just need to make a recipe. The void metal ingot, I have a bunch of these made, but what we need to do is actually go make the void metal seed, which I haven't done yet. I need to go see if I have enough void metal blocks. I probably don't. I probably need to go blow up a few more rifts to be able to make this. The end steel ingot is another easy alloy that we just haven't made yet. And then there's the ender ingot, which is relatively simple, and the one gotcha, which is the enhanced ender ingot, which requires the extended crafting's version of the old Extreme Crafting QED, the ender crafting table, as well as its ender alternators and a bunch of power. None of these materials are hard, we just need to set it up. So I guess we should start banging out that list, huh? Alright, so I made all of the void metal that I needed. It wasn't too hard. I was just able to use my thaumatorium to do it, because it turns out the void seed has a recipe. I probably knew about this, but I just flat out forgot, because you can just manufacture it. I've got a ton of mycelium from somewhere, so I just made a bunch more seeds. I only needed a handful, and then just tossed those in and do it. Right now I'm processing a bunch of aluminum brass, which I'm just burning up a bunch of bronze for, because that translates into the 5 instrumentum that it needs, as well as some metallum that we're just burning, and we'll just deal with the taint when it happens, if I even care. So, but this should solve our problems for the short term for those two at least. Alright, I've got everything on the table. Let's kick this off. And then once this is done, I can just toss in my normal mystical agriculture farm, and we'll never have to worry about void metal again. Thankfully, this can go into a normal farm because it's not a tier 6, so we don't need to make a crux for it, and it will self-reproduce. So we will actually have literally endless void metal pretty soon. Alright, and that's the void metal ingot and the alchemical brass sorted out for now. Let's go take a look at the other ones we have to address. And I suppose the first things we should do are take out all of the ones that have real easy recipes that are just missing, like the end steel ingot. Alright, and sorted out all of the easy recipes. We're down just to the 2 Nuclearcraft ones and the 1 extended crafting one. So let's go handle the Nuclearcraft ones now. Which, if I had actually been looking ahead more, I would have remembered that the titanium iridium alloy one's really easy. It's just titanium and iridium combined together. So let's go knock that one out too. Alright, so the lithium manganese dioxide ingot is actually kind of a weird rabbit hole that can be hard to decode if you don't know where one of the components comes from. Because if you just start blindly digging through these recipes, you're probably not going to find it. And the problem comes in with the manganese oxide ingot, because it gets made from this oxide dust. If you dig through this randomly, you're going to come down to trying to find a manganese ingot, which does not exist in the game. There's no way to mine these or find these anywhere. So what you actually need to do is smelt it from crushed rhodochrosite. So I've set up the general process in my AE2 lab to just import the crushed manganese oxide directly into a fluid infuser here with an electrolyzer pumping oxygen into it constantly. And it, just like my setup over here, it's going to constantly keep 64 in that chest right there. Alright, and with that ingot done, we are down to the very last one, the extended crafting one for the enhanced ender ingot. And as we showed before, you need to make the ender crafting system. This ender star right here is just another nether star inside the ender crafting system as well, so this isn't really difficult. And the ender crafter itself isn't really all that hard because it's just ender ingots, which we just automated in Eyes of Ender, and the alternators are more of the same. Alright, and to the best of my understanding, you can actually stack these up in a 7x7x7 box around the actual device, and it will use all of them. If they've got the purple particle effects, they're actually working. If we look inside, you can see that it's creating these ender stars at a pretty fast rate with this many, and I think I'm going to call this good, and I'm going to slap an automation interface on top top of this and then create recipes to do the ender star. I'll probably put a second one in this box and just use them both to make both of these items. Okay, so I wired it all up to my AE2 system and encased them in a bunch more alternators. The one thing I would recommend doing that I made the mistake of is do not put the alternators on until you have the recipes inside the interface, because otherwise you're going to be scrambling to save the recipe inside the crafting table itself, because yeah, when it's going really fast, that's next to impossible to do. I had to go smash the alternators and put them back up. So learn from my mistakes, folks. But what this does mean is I should now be able to smash the start button for the ultimate ingot and everything should go. The start button is all lit up, everything's good to go. I will have to fill in the crafting interface here with all the ingots for the first time. But let's cross your fingers and hope this works right. So bad news, good news, bad news. When I crafted the ultimate ingot, it ate the ingot just like it did my ultimate table. There's something screwy with the automation there. I still don't know what it is. I think it has something to do with trying to get it to extract out from a certain side after you've already created the item, but I don't know. This is the second time it's happened. But this did spotlight a few things that I'm not currently automating because I ran out of them. One of them is easy, and we've set it up behind me. That's I need to make some night slime, which I just had to go raid a purple slime island for a bunch of liquid, which I'm pumping into the smeltery to go make the night slime with. And the reason it's easy is because we only need 4 blocks of it total to be able to make the night slime seeds and never worry about night slime again. The other one isn't really hard so much as it's going to be tedious, and it's because I need to automate the Ludicrite, which I just haven't. I'm just using that thermionic fabricator back over there with that chest in front of it to manually do it, but we need to automate it because in case you've forgotten what it takes to make Ludicrite, it requires a bunch of not too hard materials now that we've got them coming in, because we've got these coming from the end off a laser base. That's just a bunch of blaze rods. This is alumite, which we'll have to create as well, which isn't hard though. Endurnium, which we can auto create, and then elementium, which we have coming in out of our mob farm. But then liquid DNA, which we'll need to create. And I think we can automate it pretty easily because I think it will not consume the leaf if I just set it up an autonomous activator with the tools to do it and automate making the tools, because those do get used up. But I need to go try to set that up, so give me a little bit. All right, so I ran into a bit of a problem. I was trying to set up the pollen collection on this tree behind me. I took a leaf off into my compact machine to see if I could automate it, and it didn't work in there. And then I realized I could set it up out here, and I tried that, and then I realized it never ever shuts off. So even if I have a drawer that's size limited, it will still just keep spewing the pollen everywhere if I'm using an automated user. I realized I could fix that with like redstone and, you know, maybe do a comparator against the chest and see if it's full or not. But why do a hard solution when I can do a really nasty, even harder solution? Because I don't actually need that much pollen, realistically, because it's not going to run that often. So I decided to go do bees instead, because let's just double down on absolutely stupid ideas. Thankfully, Gendustry makes this easier. Alright, so a very quick primer on bees. Forestry has bees. You'll find the beehives in each biome, and each biome pretty much has a different type of bee. For the most part, it varies a bit. You can put the bees into the beealyzer using a drop of honey, and you will get the stats for the bee. They have both a dominant and a recessive set of genes. The genes have various stats, as you can see, that they do different things. Bees can be bred together to create new types of bees and to crossbreed their various dominant and recessive traits. There is a whole process going up where you can make better and better types of bees, up to the imperial bee in normal forestry, which is pretty much the top one. Now, this is extremely tedious and hard. It's kind of a pain to do in normal stock forestry. I've done it before, I enjoy it, but not everyone will. Gendustry, however, completely cuts through that whole process. For starters, you can use the Mutatron or the Advanced Mutatron if there's more than one type off the pairing you're doing to take a princess and a drone and automatically get its mutation. There are also a few other devices that will let you get the traits off of the various bees and let you transplant them onto other bees to max out their traits. It simplifies the whole process. And what you saw me do there was make the second to last step I needed to make the Imperial Bee, because I need royal jelly from it. Because royal jelly is used to make the production upgrade for the Gendustry industrial apiary. And we use these because you can add upgrades to them, not unlike the Alleviary for normal forestry, except it's in a single box instead of a big huge multi-block. It does take RF power to run, but not a whole lot of it. And the upgrades, you can do things similar to the Alleviary, like add heater upgrades so that my bee, which normally can't work in an ice biome, now has enough heat that it can survive here, as well as a sieve to collect the pollen that we need, and then an automation upgrade that will then feed the drones and the princesses back in when this finishes its cycle. I have piping that goes out into a centrifuge to process the various combs, and then a box to dump everything into. I'm eventually going to turn this into an ender chest to pump this directly into my inventory system so that we have access to the pollen that we're creating. As a reminder from way back in like the second episode, you can use the bottle of time on apiaries and it looks really, really funny. Alright, I've officially stopped being lazy and I've got the Ludicrite set up. We have the DNA extractor here that's pumping pollen in slowly, feeding it into a carpenter that's creating the Ludicrite. And back over here, I have a series of melters just constantly making alumite up to a 8-stack drawer to keep that in storage. So, I've stopped being lazy. Are you people happy? Are you happy? Alright, now I'm going to push the Ultimate Ingot button for 3 of them this time and pray that this actually works correctly. And there it's populating the table now, so it should have everything. And there it goes, and it extracted it out. Although it looks like it's still sitting in the automation interface, so that's not ideal. I need to figure out how to deal with this. Okay, mystery solved apparently. There's a bug with the automation interface, at least in this version that I'm using right now. If you have auto extract set to a value and that value does not lead to an inventory, which apparently the unpackager and pipes do not count as, it just deletes the items. There is supposedly a fix, but apparently it's not in the version we have. So I've got it piping into a wooden crate and then up into an ME interface to make sure it gets back into the system now. I thought the unpackagers act like an ME interface, but apparently not. So this is at least completely automated now and all hands-free. I do need to make a whole bunch more side metal to make sure it's populated because I definitely don't have enough right now. But that part's trivial. I just need to go to the end and go do it. But lots and lots of progress done in the first major subcomponent for the endgame bragging rights section done. We can actually start moving on to some really interesting things pretty soon, folks. Anyhow, if you found this episode interesting and entertaining, please consider leaving a like or subscribing if you're new. As always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.